Before continuing, I'm going to make 3 really important points about practice, which are going to apply to the whole of this course and any other piano course you take. Well, first of all, let's just look at what we've learned so far. So you played this pair 3 times, then this one once, and then this one 3 times. Well, I think repeating a pair of notes is not so tricky. Once you've got the original pair of notes, just playing it a couple more times is not too hard. But I think going from one pair of notes to another one, and then to another one, is comparatively hard, right? Because you're having to think about changing fingers, moving your hand, playing different notes. So the exercise I'm going to give you at the end of this video is practicing going from the first pair to the second pair to the third pair without repeating any of them. So I'm going to get you to focus on the most difficult bit of what we learned so far. So that leads me to my first point, which is that when practicing a piece, you should always focus on repeating the hardest bits of the piece, not just playing it straight through. Of course, you'll want to play through a piece straight through some of the time, but most of your practice time should be spent focusing on the hardest bits of the piece, repeating them over and over until they're easy. So that's point number 1. The second thing is that you should aim to play everything accurately. So in this course, I'm always going to be giving you lots of little steps so that you should be able to play each step accurately as long as you've mastered the previous videos. And you should have really no reason to play anything wrong. Just take everything really slowly, and maybe picture what you're going to play before you play it. And then you should be able to play everything perfectly. If you're only getting it right half the time, you're building a really unreliable foundation for future piano playing. So aim to play everything perfectly. That's point number 2. And then point number 3 is that you should master each step before moving on to the next one. And by master, I mean that you should be able to play it accurately and reliably without thinking. So that means actually repeating things much more than you probably think. So it's great if you can play this accurately when you're really concentrating, but really you want to practice it so much that you can actually just go like that as if it's really easy. So if you practice these 3 pairs of notes over and over again, what you'll find when you've done it, 15 or 20 times right in a row, is that you start thinking of something else, like you think about your shopping list or whatever, and your hand is just continuing to play the notes and still playing them accurately, even though you're not really thinking about it. And that means that you've actually practiced those notes so much that the pattern's gone from the conscious level to the unconscious level. And that's what you always want to achieve in piano playing. You want to repeat each exercise so much that it just gets burned into your unconscious and you can do it really easily, like tying your shoelaces. So they're the 3 things to consider when practicing. Number 1, always focus on the difficult bits. Number 2, make sure you're always playing accurately. And then number 3, master each video before moving on to the next one. So before doing the next video, just take the first pair, and then the second pair, and then the third pair. Make sure you're playing them with the right fingers, and just play each pair once. So just to recap the fingers, your thumb is in every single pair of notes, so that bit's fairly straightforward. But in terms of the top notes, at the top of the first one you have your index finger, at the top of the second you have your ring finger, and at the top of the third you have your index finger again. So index, ring, index. Repeat those 3 pairs of notes lots and lots of times until eventually you can just sit down at a keyboard and play those 3 pairs of notes right first time.